Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has dismissed the country's army commander-in-chief, Alexander Syrskyi, and this comes just days after the removal of popular Defence Minister Mikhailo Fedorov. That's a move that triggered street protests across the country. Ian Hill is a retired career diplomat over a 42-year career who served 2 terms as New Zealand's ambassador to Russia. And he joins me now from Hawke's Bay on New Zealand's North Island. Ian Hill, thank you for your time this morning.
Good morning.
Now, this political turmoil that we're seeing in Ukraine, it's not about the fighting in Russia, but it's about who is leading that fight. Tell us just what is happening here with this turmoil, and is it significant?
I think it is significant, Gemma. This is a generational shift in military leadership we see underway between an older Soviet-schooled military establishment epitomised by Syrskyi and a younger generation whose views and experience have been shaped by the current Russia-Ukraine war. And they're pushing for a wide-ranging transformation in the Ukrainian armed forces. And that covers everything from procurement, tackling corruption, to personnel policy, and the more innovative use of new technologies, which we're seeing with drones, which they felt the older establishment was resistant to. And this has led to first of all, the dismissal by Zelenskyy of Fedorov, which he has now been forced by the popular backlash to try and contain. And Syrskyi has in turn been dismissed this morning. We don't know where this is all going to end. Apparently there are going to be announcements made in the course of the next 24 hours who is going to be appointed the new minister and whether it might be Fedorov. There is already a new commander being appointed, Drapitsky, who is a colleague of Fedorov's, similarly from a younger generation. But this is significant because it is firstly because of the generational shift in military leadership, as I said, and how Ukraine should be fighting this war. But secondly, because it does suggest that there's been an erosion of confidence, and it's caused an erosion of confidence in Zelensky's leadership, the way he's managed this. And that's a worry, not just in terms of the domestic views within the Ukraine, but also trust amongst Ukraine's partners and externally. The only people encouraged by this will be the Russians.
Mm. Now, as to the timing of these shuffles, these dismissals, the departure of the Defence Minister came just as Ukraine was hitting Russia's oil industry. We've seen that in the news. They've slowed the frontline advances of Moscow's forces. Now, before we get to what is happening on the battlefront there, do you find the timing of this curious?
Not really. I don't think that was related exactly to the attacks. I mean, I think there's probably undoubtedly some jealousy within the military with the obvious success of Fedorov's tactics and taking the battle to the Russians. But I think from all the accounts I've read, the conflict between these groups, and epitomised by Syrskyi and Fedorov as Syrskyi the commander-in-chief and Fedorov as minister, the differences have become pretty irreconcilable. And so Zelenskyy was moved to act, and the way in which he acted initially caused this backlash, and he's now had to try and correct that move. Mm. So I don't find it particularly related to the attacks on the oil industry itself.
And what is the latest assessment about what is happening on the battlefront?
Well, essentially, we're in the war of attrition is essentially a stalemate, a deadlock. Russia has been for all the effort and casualties it's incurring, the blood treasure it's expending on the battlefield, Gemma, it's making almost no progress across the whole battlefront. It's made some small gains here and there, but it's equally lost territory in other areas. So this is a war of choice by Vladimir Putin. He's not meeting his political objectives militarily, as he thought he would. And so this is not going well now from Russia's point of view, but it's equally a fragile situation. I think people have been very encouraged by Ukraine's recent turnaround in their fortunes with the strikes on of their indigenously developed medium long-range strikes on oil infrastructure, other infrastructure in Russia and behind the Russian lines. But it's still a situation where Russia enjoys an enormous dominance in manpower and materiel. So it's a fragile situation on the battlefield.